All right, guys, now we're going to kind of move into more of a discussion. So it's going to be me and Amy, and we're going to kind of answer the questions, and then we're going to let you guys answer them. Obviously, we can't hear you, but okay.
Okay. So having talked now about miracles with Hannah, talking about the scripture passage of raising Lazarus from the dead, we really want to think about, like I mentioned before, how we apply this to our own lives. So we have 4 questions we're going to ask you all. Hannah and I are both going to answer them. And again, feel free to pause in between the questions so that you and your families can answer them, or if you're by yourself, that you can write it down or really take some time to reflect on those questions. So in light of everything going on in the world right now, and in light of the scripture passages, Hannah, where do you feel dead in your life?
Um, Probably actually just kind of life in general at the moment. Just being in pretty much complete quarantine. I kind of feel like I'm becoming an invalid. Actually, I tell everyone that I am becoming a dog because I look forward to my car rides and my walks every day. um, so I feel like that's kind of where I'm dead right now, where it's like I'm trying to find the energy to care about things, but because there's no urgency, it's really hard to.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me, having a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old at home, we were just, Hannah and I and the rest of our Catholic formation staff, we had a virtual meeting the other day, and I said, I thought this would be a really great time to like feel rest and renewed and refreshed, but instead I feel more exhausted and just more dead and more stressed out in my life, I think because I'm missing that ability to not escape from my life, but to just have a break from the responsibilities that I have at home to my family, and those commitments, and go physically to work and be around peers, who are all working towards a common goal and are all helping each other. And so I'm just kind of feeling like a little bit dead, like as far as tired um, and probably being in the home too, like you said, Hannah, is making me feel a little bit dead too. So
All right, Amy, where do you feel that you need resurrection?
so before we started recording this video, Hannah and I were kind of talking about what does this question even really mean to us. I think this is a really hard question to answer. In my own life, if we're thinking about raising something, resurrection being rising, and in this context, raising from the dead, but where do I need resurrection? I think during this period of time, the last few weeks, with the amount of stress that I've felt and just figuring out, this new normal, I have put my relationship with God on the back burner. And so I think my faith needs a resurrection. My prayer life, I relate to God a lot through um, song and music. I think that is dead right now and needs a little bit of a resurrection in my life. So in my life is happening right now, as you might hear my baby's crying in the background, but so I just need to take the time to resurrect my faith and my relationship with God right now. And what about you, Hannah?
I think actually kind of my passion might need resurrection because I'm definitely a very passionate person. I think I do almost everything based on kind of my gut and following whatever I kind of feel strongest towards, but it's kind of hard to feel passionate when, because like I'm in a very small apartment, like you can only change the furniture so many times, you can only do so many things so many times, that you kind of begin to lose that bit of spark, I guess.
Mhm.
And I want to find my passion again, but it's a little difficult.
Yeah. um, And so with that being said, we're going to take a moment for you all with your families or individually to talk about where do you need resurrection in your own lives. And our third question, Hannah, where do you need Jesus to give you life right now?
Probably in the kitchen because I know it's not like a physical location question. However, I feel like last year was really the first time I started cooking for myself. Before it was more like I could survive on my own, but like I actually started really loving to cook. But now all of a sudden, to try to get all the like required nutrients and to kind of make up vitamins because I'm no longer getting some vitamins naturally in my life, like I feel like I've kind of been catapulted into a different level of adult than what I am ready for.
Yeah.
So I feel very strongly like if Jesus could help me figure out what vegetables and things like that, like I would be grateful.
Yeah. I think mine is also home related to giving you life, is that we live in a duplex, and having two kids and not have the ability to, we have a small yard, but not having the ability to go outside. We go outside a lot. It's like parks and things like that. We can walk around and things like that. But just for me, giving me life, to really get my house into some sort of order that I can really not feel like I'm so stuck, I guess is the best way to understand. Like currently right now, there's two middle school boys that live downstairs from me, and so they have opposite schedules of us, and they are in our shared hallway playing basketball every day with a hamper, and so it's like everybody's getting a little stir crazy. So just give me life to, I think, have the patience and also maybe some new creativity to see what else could we do around the house that would make us not feel like we are so stuck and cooped up. So that's what I would say. All right. And so the last question, you want me to do this question, Hannah, or do you want to do it?
I don't care. You can start it.
So the last question is really in relation to how you are doing right now. So we talk about Jesus, we talk about the resurrection and the death, but how are you doing and how are you coping right now? And Hannah and I would also like to hear from you all if you need something, to reach out to us or to Tina or to John or to anybody in the Catholic Formation Office, to reach out to us for support. And so the question I want to ask Hannah today is, what are you doing to cope with the stress and anxiety or whatever you might be feeling right now in your own life?
I guess it's kind of a multi thing, but I'm really trying to flip the script on being like forced to stay home, because I'm definitely a defiant person. You tell me not to do something, I'm more likely to do it. So I'm definitely kind of working on, in my own brain, convincing myself that it was more my choice and kind of taking ownership of that fact, because I am immunocompromised. So like I'm kind of trying to tell myself, like, you literally can't go outside right now. Like, you have to make this choice. You have to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ways that I'm kind of reinforcing that is, I have this, actually, I could probably, I have that vintage trunk that I've been wanting to redo the inside of for probably like 6 months, and I've never gotten around to it. So now I'm like, oh, I'm staying home so that I can work on the trunk.
It's a good way to put it.
Working, but
yeah.
What about you, Amy? What are you doing?
I think for me, like finding like that joyful play again. I think as adults and probably you guys as teenagers too, when we were younger, I watch my 4-year-old and he's got like, I don't know, like he's got like this thing that doesn't even work and like a pen, and he's, you know, content for like an hour just making creativity and imagination and whatever. And I'm like, boy, he has a great imagination. So I've been trying to like participate and do things that bring me back to my youth and make me feel like I'm playing, you know, playing and having a good time. Because I think when we come out of this, I think the kids, the little kids, are going to be like, oh, we got to spend all this time at home and we did all these fun projects and things like that. And they won't necessarily remember why they were stuck at home. They'll just remember, oh my gosh, I had this great time of playing all the time and just doing all these new activities and stuff inside. And so I'm trying to be intentional and finding some play time for me as far as like being involved in the activities my son is doing. Or like last night, I asked my husband on a date into the living room and we played the game of life. And I was like, this is going to be so lame. You know, he'd never played before. And we played for like 3 hours, and then we kept the game out and played it again this morning with Mason, because I'm like, this was really fun. You know, I haven't done that in a while. So I think coping for me is finding that childlike faith, that childlike play again in this time. So I'd like you all to spend some time talking about how you can cope during this time. If you're with your family, really be honest about what would help you all to get along better or cope or spend this time together, whatever it is, and express the things that you need in your life. And we also want to give you all a challenge until our next class. And talking about the resurrection this week, find a picture, take some time on Google or on your phone or whatever to just look for pictures of the resurrection and find one that speaks to you. And I want to challenge you for the next few weeks to just use that image to reflect on and pray with that image for the next couple of weeks. Just asking God to help us, to teach us, to trust in your resurrection and the ability to resurrect the areas of our lives that maybe have fallen, those things that we need new life, that we are feeling dead to right now. And so with that, that's the end of our lesson today, right, Hannah? Do you have anything else?
No, I think we're good.
So, and we just invite you all to close as a family or as your individual, just to close tonight in prayer together with one another. You could say a rote prayer, you could do intentions like we did at the beginning, but to just spend some time closing in prayer and reflecting on that resurrection tonight. We're praying for you all. We're here for you all, and let us know what we can do to help you going forward. And we'll see you in a couple weeks. And now I'm awkwardly going to figure out how to end the video.
I know, I'm like, do I smile?